Is gambling going to be banned on Twitch? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, guys, we're talking about gambling on Twitch, as Twitch made a statement in the midst of all of the controversy and drama that has been going on about a change to their gambling policy. So I'm going to go through it here, and then we're going to talk about some positives and negatives and where I see this actually going. Because I don't think it's as cut and dry as some people have made it out to be, but I also do think that there is a net positive here. Gambling content on Twitch has been a big topic of discussion in the community. That is the understatement of the year, and something we've been actively reviewing since our last policy update in this area. Today, we want to update you on our plans. While we prohibit sharing links, this is the things that they previously had changed. While we prohibit sharing links or referral codes to all sites that include slots, roulette, and dice games, we've seen some people circumvent those rules and expose our community to potential harm. We will be making a policy update on October 18th, that's roughly a month from the time of filming this, to prohibit streaming of gambling sites that include slots, roulette, or dice games that aren't licensed either in the US or other jurisdictions that provide sufficient consumer protection. We will continue to allow websites that focus on sports betting, fantasy sports, and poker. We'll share specifics on the updates to our gambling policy soon, including the full policy language, to make sure everyone is clear on our new rules before they take effect on October 18th. I personally believe that, yes, this is a positive change. However, it is not the slam dunk that I think a lot of people were hoping for. And I do believe that some of the expectations among the community were a little bit more than what is actually reasonable, considering the state of gambling in the United States and globally. And what I think that there was some expectation of was a blanket ban on all gambling, including poker, fantasy sports, blackjack, slots, roulette, everything related to gambling. The problem with that is that that also potentially would include things like loot boxes and Genshin Impact and opening of Pokemon cards and all these things that are kind of forms of gambling. And so there was no chance that Twitch was ever going to just do a blanket ban on all gambling. Twitch has previously taken specific things that they do not want on their service. Drinking, for example. Drinking is a great example. You can drink, you can get drunk in general society. There's nothing that prevents you from doing that. But on Twitch, you cannot get overly drunk. You cannot do shots for subs. There are restrictions in place that they do kind of carve out various small niches to say, hey, we don't want that on our service. And so they can do that with gambling as well. And in this case, they're targeting a couple asterisks here. So they don't want gambling sites that include slots, roulette, or dice games. And here's the asterisk to that. Aren't licensed either in the US or other jurisdictions. We don't know what those jurisdictions are yet, that provide sufficient consumer protection. We have no idea what sufficient consumer protection actually is. We will continue to allow websites that focus on. This part is particularly important. Focus on. So if you go to a website that has a few luck-based games, that might be okay if their vast majority of the content is otherwise sports betting, fantasy sports, and poker. Also, I just want to throw in here, while we're talking about timelines and stuff like that, the fact that they posted this in the midst of the current drama that is currently existing shouldn't inherently be seen as a Twitch stop gambling response. This is something from my sources that say that they were working on this for some time, and it's my belief that they were going to be making this update sometime around TwitchCon anyway. It's possible that the current discussion around gambling and the Twitch stop gambling and mizkif and pokimane and slicker and all the things that have been associated with that may have caused them to advance the timeline, and which is why we got a statement rather than the full-on policy, which may not be ready just yet. They even say it here, we've been actively reviewing since our last policy update in this area, which, again, from my sources, is even before this article came out on August 4th. The original The original drama around it is when they started to go, hey, we should take a look at this policy and figure this one out. Now, the last thing that I will say as it relates to this is that we are going to have to wait and see what the policy actually says. Right now, we're going based upon a statement and we're extrapolating various things. Now, again, I do believe that this has been meticulously written, gone through legal, gone through comms to make sure that every single word was chosen with intent to not lead people on to think that, hey, this is going to be a blanket ban on luck-based gambling, which it probably should be, in my opinion. But what we could actually see that associates or that is added onto this, I don't know if we will or not, I would hope that we do, is we could also see broadcaster-based rules. So even if they're saying, hey, well, we don't allow on these websites, and we do allow on these websites that focus on, there could also be something that they do in terms of the broadcasters themselves. And I actually think that that would be a wise idea in order to provide a more robust enforcement of what this could be. And so things that they could do, I don't know if they will or not, but they could add like a time limit that you can only broadcast gambling content for 6 hours a week. They could have a thing where you cannot do sponsored content. Again, I don't know how you actually know for sure if something is sponsored, but there you go. They could do things like having to show your actual active win-loss numbers on stream. So if you're sitting there saying, hey, I just made $50,000 on this bet, this sports betting, but on screen it says your net profit is negative 150,000 and it was negative 200,000, well, then that might be a way to actually provide a more realistic look at what gambling is like. Another thing that they could actually have, that they could do site-wide that wouldn't inherently be about blocking this kind of content or telling people not that they can't stream it, is proper age gating. Twitch's current age gating system is barely an age gate at all. I've seen X-rated websites with more intricate age gating than I have on Twitch. Are you 18 plus? Okay. Jump into the content, mature. And nobody's required to use the mature tag on Twitch. It doesn't actually have a requirement right now. And in fact, many people who are streaming mature content don't use it. The last thing that they could also do is set a requirement on streamers to hide logos. So you cannot show the site in which you are broadcasting on. That could be one way to slow people down from accessing that kind of content. There's, of course, other things that could be done. If you have ideas, leave them in the comments below. I would love to actually hear them. We'll probably do a follow-up video on this when the actual guidance, when the actual policy comes out, to again, pick it apart and see what they're actually saying here. My guess is a lot of people are going to be pretty disappointed, but all in all, I do believe that this is a positive step for Twitch, and I also give them a little bit of a credit because they've typically been pretty anti-communicative, and yet here they are making a statement about this in the midst of a lot of drama. I'm going to leave it there for now. We're going to have to wait and see what ends up happening with the policy. But with that one, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you click like and subscribe. Have a great day.